1,803. I believe so. Let me make sure that I'm on. Make sure that everything is rolling. Little. Okay. We are. It is early in the morning. It's after 1 a.m. here. But it can't be helped um, because we have been given so much information today. It's every day is jaw dropping, and anyone who has kept up with this case. Sorry, it's been a busy day. I have a piece of hair or something in my mouth. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Um, Sorry about that. 1,000. Let's start over. 1,803 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room and his life was taken from him on Fort Bliss in the line of duty, which has been confirmed by the DOD. He's been officially designated as killed in the line of duty, and with the other designations that we have, all the other paperwork that we have, it is confirmed that he was murdered on Fort Bliss in the line of duty for being a whistleblower, and reporting on the criminal trafficking, being in communication with Washington, D.C., being in communication with FBI Houston, being the IG all over the barracks because of Halliday, um, reporting multiple times to CPS, Child Protective Services, um, being in communication with 911, um, and of course, um, constant communication with CID on Fort Bliss and his command, which was very dirty. They're very dirty. His command is very, very dirty. And every day we get information, and it is implicating the Bill Hicks, the fake district attorney for the 34th Judicial District Attorney's office there in El Paso, and now even uh, James 2028 Stamp Montoya, the fake DA of the 34th Judicial District Attorney's office there, who actively, both of them actively, targeted the duly elected Yvonne Rosales for removal um, from that office because she was actually investigating, right? She was actually doing her job, um, prosecuting. So they couldn't have that. They had to remove her and usurp the position and not install properly, not follow the instructions that the Texas Constitution outlines to be the district attorney of the 34th Judicial District. And so both of them are illegal. Both of them in a court of law have botched cases left and right. I mean, every case that they touch, they botch because they're not legal. You know, you just can't have a baker, butcher, candlestick maker come in and say, okay, I'm the DA now, and not sign the paperwork, not do what is necessary under the law to be the district attorney. So, both of them now, the evidence is piling up with Purchase Funeral Homes and the over 1,000 families now. Um, the bodies, the rotting bodies that were found at the dumping ground, the narco cartel dumping ground that is connected with Purchase Funeral Homes and other funeral homes. But because that entity, they share all kinds of stuff, with this, just pile up these bodies and for crematorium or And some of those bodies are as old as 5 years old, as old as 5 years old, which, just brings shivers to us and tears because there is a real chance that some of those remains are Richard's, that they are Richard's, because, well, all the evidence points to um, partial remains, right? Partial remains, what they did to him, and we know that the officials in Juarez, Mexico, have not done forensic reviews over on those bodies. There are, 1,000 bodies now piled up. It's a real humanitarian crisis, and it needs to be covered left and right, and demand a forensic review of those bodies. I think they have said six, they multiple in uniform. Uh, you know, six have been identified, um, and then in the pictures, you can actually see the leftover trauma on the bodies. I mean, black tape wrapped around their head. The woman in her underwear, where you can actually see still blood on her body and everything like that. This is absolutely a disgrace of Purchase Funeral Homes and the other funeral homes involved. Also, the narco politicians that are involved in this, that profit off of this. This is absolutely sacrilege. They have no, this is a religious problem, the only religion that is just will give us the dignity of the human body. Corpus Christi is Christianity, really. And you can argue that point, but look at the mess that's over there. They just pile up bodies. Where's the human dignity in the Corpus Christi, right? Where's it's just so sacrilege. It's just these are really demons, absolute demons. Um, so, but the bottom line here is that there needs to be a forensic review. We need to know the identities of these individuals. We need to know what happened. And what we're hearing today is that there are officials now that are asking questions like, we need to have a forensic review of these bodies to check to see if there are organs missing, that organ harvesting has been taking place in the area, where could it be even in El Paso? Because you have to understand, and I've been on this for uh, I want to say years. I want to say years. But for a long time, maybe it just seems like a long time, I've been on this about Mario Raskin Ortiz being up to no good. He's the chief medical examiner. He's unqualified. He absolutely lied to come over on his visa, which his visa is invalid, so he's an illegal foreign national, and he was given this job. Um, and of course, the pay was approved by none other than Representative Veronica Escobar, who was a disaster handling $1.2 billion for the Biden and the Harris campaign for presidency. And she, I mean, he gets almost $500,000 for being an illegal foreign national that determines the cause and manner of death as a chief medical examiner, and testifies in court. And he charges for testifying in court. There's a newspaper article saying that he's charging for testifying in court when it's part of his job. I mean, can't he do that for his $500,000? And we know, we have confirmation, we have the hard evidence that the death certificates from the Walmart mass shooting victims are not right. They're not right. They've been tampered with, and so you know, uh, Could there be organ harvesting going on? This is um, the talk behind the scenes, the demand for autopsies and forensic reviews of these um, rotting bodies that were piled up in Juarez, Mexico. Um, what now? Over 1,000 of them. Um, it's just absolutely sickening. It really is, and it needs to be, and everyone needs to face this and say it and share it. If you want human dignity, if you want human rights and human dignity, this has to be frontline. This has to be frontline. Um, because this just cannot be allowed. This is going back in time to the worst type of humanitarian crimes. This is what this is. And um, to have fake prosecutors in El Paso, it just explodes the suspicions of, covering up this CCP cartel tied criminal trafficking in and even in the death trafficking, right? So not only in the child trafficking and in the sex trafficking with the woman or whatever, and all of the migrants and everything like that, but even in the death trafficking, and for disability benefits. And so we absolutely know they have an inside man in death benefits and disability benefits. Um, in the VA in El Paso. We know they have an inside man. We know that they even use uh, the death benefits and or disabled benefits as payoffs. So, like they're going to be doing their cartel activities, their criminal trafficking activities, and then for payment for the criminal operatives, they're going to use taxpayers' money to pay them off through granting them disability benefits or death benefits. I mean, think about that, think about how horrible that is. Um, it's just, it just, you know, we have to stand up to it, and so here we are, um, and there is indications because Richard was worth so much, and his remains are worth so much that they didn't just discard his remains. They wanted to monetize it. They want to monetize the remains and remains of other family members. And now you have over 1,000 families, over 1,000 families now outraged, wanting answers. And are some of these bodies in Juarez, are they Americans? Are they American citizens? Have their organs been harvested? Have they been victims of violent crimes? Have they been victims of fraud? Fraud for funeral homes that say they're going to cremate and then they just give you animal ashes and tell you that it's your grandma, right? Tell you that it's your wife. Tell you that it's your husband. This kind of fraud, right? And do we know that that there is indication of fraudsters being involved? Oh yeah, look at Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. She's a big time fraudster. Lalani Hart is a big time fraudster. Are they, is there suspicions for all their money laundering and everything? Absolutely. And Danae Katz and Gonzalez Embris, she's a big fraudster. Bill Hicks is a fraudster. Bob Moore is a fraudster. Look at James Montoya. Look at he's such a fraudster. Look at the breaking news that we have today. It's just so much breaking news that here we are having to stay up all night. There's no time to sleep. to keep up with all the news that is coming in, to stand up for human rights, to stand up for our son, to stand up for our military, for our country. There's just no time to sleep. We have to do this, otherwise we're going to lose our country, because you have the likes of James Montoya and his wife, uh, Amila, Amila. I don't know how to say her name. I do not know how to say her name, and I'm just sickened by the knowledge of her, because she was in the county clerk's. She worked in the county clerk's office, y'all, and she had absolute access to the fraudulent stamping, the 2028 stamp, to cover up his illegal installation into the district attorney's office. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And she has ties. She has ties to people that are absolutely in this case. Uh, you know, um, and so the question is, because there's just so much going on with Western Frontier Trading, suing Nadal Baim and Isis Chavira, and they're all connected, y'all. And then to be connected to the FTOs, right? Connected to the FTOs, and you have to figure out what that is. Um, if they're connected to the FTOs, because we know that Nadal Baim is a Palestinian arms dealer, and if he's connected to an FTOs, and then if he's connected to the FTOs through Shavira, through Willie Moya, through Altura Alba, known cartel big shots, known cartel big shots, and in the media, right? Which tells you that the media is involved in all of this destruction, right? And because um, they have to use the media platform to discredit honest, good whistleblowers. They have to attack them. They have to discredit them. They have to paint a false narrative. I mean, our media, we really can't believe what's being said. And the whole thing with uh, today, the whole thing with Western Frontier Trading, with A&R Chavira Auto Group, which is totally tied to Richard's trafficking of Richard's vehicle. Um, it, and being tied to Bob Moore of El Paso Matters, being tied to the Chaviras, Western Frontier Trading, um, suing Nadal Baim and his wife Isis Chavira, who is, that all of this is a family unit. You have a fake El Paso ISD police chief in Manuel Chavira. Um, and then you have this fake DAs and another fake DA, and then you have a fake installation, fake timestamps, and you have the wife now of James Montoya absolutely having access to the fraudulent timestamp 2028 stamp. Um, uh, you know, Okay, so if she's aiding and abetting, this, it really brought this up. Um, Looking this up, if she's aiding and abetting an FTO, she's looking out for each count of what she did in that county clerk's without having a weapon, without, doing the crime herself. I mean, I'm talking about the taking of a life. Um, she's can face 20 years for each count that she's found guilty of, if she's found guilty of that. This is, the wife of a fake DA, but, having the thing is by them allowing him to stay in that position, which is, you know, uh, Ted Cruz, Representative Veronica Escobar, Governor Greg Abbott. They all know that he is a fake DA, just like they all knew that Bill Bill Hicks is a fake DA, okay? And the legislature, right? The legislature has been informed of this problem in El Paso. By allowing them to do this, um, staying in this position gives them access to aid and abet an FTO, okay? Gives them access. It gives Montoya's wife, Busmonte, uh, she's a Melendez, she's a Diaz, she's a, I mean, they're all connected, right? Um, and, you know, this is why I have to put together these articles, right? We have to sit back in our family and put together these articles, to put together the thoughts, because the information is coming in so quickly that we have to document it right away and post it right away and write these letters right away. And that's why we have to burn the midnight oil. That's why there's no time to sleep, because this is a national security threat with international implications, right? Uh, it's and I'm even going to, because we haven't even had 12 hours, much less 24 hours, to really wrap our heads around this new information that Montoya's wife is involved in all of this. But, so is Nadal Baim's wife, Isis Chavira. She's so involved in this with property and everything that they had to get a really quickie divorce, a really quick, because Western Frontier Trading is suing them, right? Which to me is indications that something's afoot. Something's afoot here. Something's going on um, behind the scenes. It looks like there's some indictments coming on, and people are trying to protect themselves. That's what hide things, right? Um, and you see that with, gosh, it's just so clear that so much is happening behind the scenes because we are getting so much information, breaking news every day, every day. We had no idea that Montoya. Now, look, we have done open records. The clerk's office absolutely should have alerted us to the fact that Montoya had a conflict of interest, but Montoya should have alerted El Pasoans that he has a conflict of interest, that his, um, you know, baby mama is in the clerk's office, and then they just a couple days ago seal the deal, make it legal, and what really, it's a restitution to God, to get married, that they got married. And it just, what in the world is going on that everything is so compromised with the cartel, with FTOs in El Paso, that, what is it? We've been counting about 40. And then if you add the generals, that almost pushes it to 50 that need to be indicted, in this. Um, that are aiding and abetting FTOs. And so here comes the wife of Montoya. I mean, you've got the wife of Bob Moore, Kathleen Gannon. You've got the wife of Alexandra Chavira, or not the wife, but the baby mama for Raquel Primo. You've got Lilani Hart. You've got Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia. You've it's just, what is going on? Is this Chavira, Christine Chavira, or Sanchez? Right? So the Sanchez. I mean, You've got Cynthia Hernandez, which is the wife of Jesus Nieto, who's, his wife is right there in intelligence on Fort Bliss. This is really, oh, you have Melissa Melendez, and I don't know if Melissa Mendez, sorry, Melissa Mendez, who is the wife of George Torres, uh, also FBI, right? Um, and is she related to um, Montoya's wife? Uh, you know, I mean, this is, yeah, this is so outrageous. So outrageous that Veronica Escobar would allow this. Of course, then she's a narco politician. And we know she's a narco politician because she agreed to pay an illegal foreign national, unqualified for the position, $500,000 of taxpayer money every year, right? So, yeah, it's and and here, like, Ted Cruz doesn't have something better to do. He's pushing for more money for Israel. Okay, okay, but look, you are not the senator of Israel. You're the senator of Texas. Hello. It's just yeah. He definitely needs to be called out, and Cornyn needs to be called out. Um so And of course, Governor Abbott, if he wanted to shut all of this down years ago, he could have. And now we have the doctor of Biden pleading the fifth, doesn't want to admit what everyone saw with their own eyes, and that had delayed this case. We had to work day and night to keep our son's case from going into cold case, to keep the leads coming, to make sure that this case was front and center, was a thorn in their shoes that they could never ignore. We absolutely to get justice for our son. I mean, think about, uh, and this is all paid with taxpayer money. We all need to be paid back, y'all. It's not enough to just indict them. They need to pay us back. They need to pay us back. They need to give us restitution. And there is precedence for restitution. Maybe that can be used to pay down the debt, right? They are just to send us all a check because we have been denied honest services. We have been denied honest services. And, and when you see, if they get away with it, then you have this whole funeral thing going on, right? Where people are getting their loved ones in urns that are not even their loved ones. It's just some animal roadkill. They burned and put the ashes in an urn and gave it to the families and charged them money. I mean, the level of evil. Because I don't even want to, it's beyond a scam. It's absolutely evil because then they get drunk and or take drugs or whatever and then laugh at us about it. Um, they live in the darkest of dark, right? And then they laugh about it while they're doing the most horrible things. You can't even call that a con job anymore. It's monetizing the death and monetizing organs of people, and these are sick people, y'all. They're so sick, and if they're doing it, it just it's like pollution. It's like it's Yeah, it is. I want to say a cancer, but it's worse than that, right? Um, it is just so toxic. It's a toxic release, and it makes everyone sick with it. Then we can't trust the food we eat. We can't trust uh, our churches that we go to. We can't trust um, our NGOs. Um, look at El Paso Community Foundation is totally a fraud. They were they were fraudulently distributing the monies from the Walmart victims funds. We have proof of that. And so, then all of our volunteer um, charity charity programs can't be trusted. I mean, this is our justice system then can't be trusted. It's so toxic that you can't even open up the can of worms that the Epstein case is. You can't report on Richard Halliday's case because it's even a bigger can of worms than the Epstein because it involves national security and international implications. I mean, huge, huge. Instead of just bribing politicians and providing young, underage teenagers. This is talking about um, monetizing death and criminal trafficking, hundreds of thousands of children, and all kinds of the worst type of crimes against children at the youngest ages on films, and then and weapons. Can you imagine? These, Nadal Baim is a Palestinian arms dealer, and his son-in-law is G3 in the 32nd AdCom right there, and a lieutenant colonel G3. Uh, how many? I just want to know if they traffic into weapons and ammunition and everything, and to who? If he's Palestinian, where did that go to? And what was that used for? Because we know that the Ukraine weapons, more than half of them went to the Mexican cartels. I mean, nothing can be trusted. And that's why doing this is so important. I see I have some comments. Martha Martinez, thank you so much for your prayers and your love. Olgazel, El Paso FBI is a fraud, nothing more, nothing less. I called them 7 times and they acknowledged something was wrong, but said I need to have phone recordings. I'm like, how is that? Isn't that their job? Horrible. Absolutely. And look, the FBI, we gave them the CCTV video recordings of Nadal Baim and the audio video of the witness testimonies. And we gave it to them less than an hour after he even went in there. You know, so Jesus Nieto Jr. is so implicated, and George Torres and his wife being in the Texas Tech University Science. So even our universities are not trustworthy because that Texas Tech University Science Center, um, they they get bodies, y'all. They get bodies. And do taxpayers pay for that? I'm sure they do. And they give money to Bob Moore. Yeah, let's have Kathleen Gannon and Bob Moore in the media positions to feed the people false stories, mislead them, create false stories, so that the crime is not reported on, the actual crime, and no one will know. Everyone's twisted then, and don't know what's really happening. And it's called grand theft larceny cover up because all this crime is for grand theft larceny. It's, you can get money, you can become wealthy three ways. You either work hard and earn it, you can inherit it, or it's grand theft larceny. Grand theft larceny. That's it. And these people chose grand theft larceny. And then they want to skew the government with ideology that says, oh, we want to be all equal, or, then they divide with the whole racist narrative. Let's divide everybody to make everyone hate each other so no one can know what we're doing, that we're picking their pocket. That we're picking their pocket through military contracts, other government contracts like ISD, like the Independent School District, for the children, and get all these big contracts. Um, any other kind of government contract, and then the trafficking. And we'll just fill the positions of this beautiful government with our operatives, with our criminal cartel operatives, and we'll be able to cover up this criminal trafficking that's billions of dollars too, and it's grand theft larceny. And sorry, if other people's children get hurt, if other family members, if we can monetize on their death, we will, and it just gets more evil and more evil, more evil as it goes on. So, this is absolutely where we need to take a stand. And there needs to be a lot of indictments here, because this is the border. This is absolutely a national security breach to the to allowing it to get so big, the gap to get so big that we have humanitarian uh, violating with dumping grounds of rotting bodies right a stone throws away from the border, where they absolutely have cross border access through the funeral business. Through the funeral business. Oh, purchase. They're from Juarez, but we'll let them work in El Paso. They set up all their funeral homes, but they're going back and forth all the time with bodies. And I was told, oh no, they would never be able to get a body across that border. Well, if they've got their notaries, if they've got their funeral workers and their, hearse, and they rent maybe from A&R Chavira Auto Group, and he's El Paso ISD, and then so and so is part of the border people, and so is in the military, mortuary affairs, allowing the transfer, which is Tavita Noosa's brother. He's mortuary affairs. Um, you just can't make this up, that they have their operatives in there. And so, it's these uh, people that place individuals in human resources, because they're the ones that place certain people in certain positions, and they just have like their little chessboard where they put their people in their certain positions so that they can get away with their criminal trafficking and demand these contracts and get these contracts to go through, and no bid contracts. Western Frontier Trading is a disabled veterans owned business. And where's a disabled veteran? Where is he? Huh? We have an idea. We have an idea where he's at. But that means that this company got no bid contracts. So it's grand theft larceny off of lies and lies and lies and tampered timestamps and tampered official documents. And they got so emboldened that, let me get my baby mama to, be in that office, where my 2028 stamp was facilitated to cover up my failed installation, meaning I couldn't sign my anti bribery statement. I wonder why. Why are they so afraid of signing an anti bribery statement? And you have him not sharing with El Pasoans, um, announcing. I mean, she wasn't even standing at his fake oath, right? She wasn't even with him. It's, they just conceal, they lie, they cheat. Um, they're just fraudsters, and they're very evil. They're very evil. And I can absolutely see where Richard absolutely could not tolerate it at all. He had to become a whistleblower. And, our daughter said, Mom, he could tolerate some things in the barracks and stuff, but if they were doing bad things to children, he would never tolerate that, Mom. And I'm like, you're right. You're right. He would absolutely take a stand. And he did. And they took his life, and they thought they could get away with it. When, when we received the in the line of duty declaration, that really opened a lot of doors, and we've gotten a lot of answers, and we absolutely are in full gear towards getting his remains and accountability. And do not doubt that. There's a lot from the very beginning. We were told, oh, you'll never know, you'll never get answers, you never this. Um, but the whole case was so absurd, and every day new information was coming in, and we knew it was absurd. Um, and our family, we just don't give up. We just don't give up. When we know that things are so uh, stinky, um, yeah, we absolutely have to have Richard's back. And so, and now it's, with your help, with your help, the sharing, the talking about this, we have, we're in full mode. And so I hope that when you come here and you see the breaking news every day, this was so much breaking news about the organs, um, harvesting, the officials. That in itself is huge breaking news. Who's reporting on that, right? And then the 1,000 families at the AG's office demanding the answers and the forensic reviews, the identification of these rotting bodies that they just piled up on top of each other. That's huge breaking news. And then the wife of James Montoya being in the county clerk, the very office who issued that or stamped that 2028 stamp, um, which tampered with official records to cover up for his failed installation. That's huge too. And then the whole thing with Western Frontier Trading, that is huge information. And we have even more. It's just we get this information in, and I have to think about it for a couple days to understand it, to understand all the legal implications of it, so that I could talk about it, because I don't even have notes in front of me. I try to do notes, but I just want to talk from my heart to you what I know. And what I know is that Richard's death was brutal and it was very valuable. I wanted to talk about El Mayo. I wanted to talk about El Chapo, because the El Mayo and the El Chapo and El Chapo's son, Guzman, right? Um, who just spoke out, uh, and gave information in a plea deal. And it was so upsetting to Mexico. We're like, okay, what did he say? Because Mexico is very upset about this plea deal with uh, El El Chapo, uh, Guzman's son, with his son that was extradited. Remember, there were 29 that were extradited right at the beginning of Scheinbaum's administration. You know, that is when you understand that connection with Richard's case, you will understand how valuable Richard is and how afraid of Richard they were as a whistleblower. They were so afraid of him. They absolutely targeted Richard. And I'm talking about billionaires. El Mayo is a billionaire. El Chapo is a billionaire. And, uh, for them to be paying attention to Richard Halliday tells you uh, a lot about Richard, tells you a lot about him and what a risk he was, what a threat he was to the criminal trafficking network that is cross borders with El Paso, Texas, Fort Bliss, and Juarez, Mexico, Sinaloa, also. Um, how important Richard was. And, so pray that, I mean, we're just getting so much information, it needs to be documented and needs to be filed, and so many other things come up in the discovery of those that breaking news, that even that needs to be filed. Certain open records need to be filed. It really is um, turbo force right now going forward. That look, we're at 2 a.m. in the morning. We can't even sleep, and I do this day in and day out. So your sharing is that is the multiplier. They can, they will do anything they can to shut down um, the spreading of information because they're protecting their billion-dollar criminal industry. So sharing is very important, and we are very, very appreciative for that, and also for your prayers, continued prayers, and yeah, just absolutely, because this God's hand is all over this. God's hand is all over this. Um, so thank you so much.